Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee and Darts. I believe this is episode like 36. We are cruising along here with the episodes. Really excited about that. Got a great guest today. We're going to be talking about Dart Connect and really diving deep into that and some of the things that that company is doing to help the darts community and ways that they can help you in playing darts and getting better, as well as being able to play people around the world. All right, but first, I need to thank my sponsors. I really love my sponsors. These people are wonderful. I work with Shot Darts, and of course, you guys know that I love their product. They're actually working with me to create a barrel. I'll be giving you a sneak peek of that here in the next day or so, so look for that on Facebook. And I might actually do a little video, so keep tuned into YouTube for that. So Shot Darts, check out shotdarts.com. And, of course, Magicwear, jerseys, great product. Love this product. Wear it all the time. I have found myself just wearing jerseys around the house and just hanging out in them because it's hot right now. And these things breathe and keep me cool. So I'm loving the jerseys. Jen Mounts will be back with us, I think, in like 2 weeks. So we're going to talk more darts with her. But let's bring on our guest today. It is Matt Stoner from Dart Connect. Hey, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Matthew. How are you?
Doing well. Good name, by the way. Solid name. I like that. I like your mom. I like your dad. They're good people.
Yeah. Well, two Matts make a right?
This is correct. So, okay. We got connected through Will Stewart. So if anybody out there doesn't know who Will is, he runs Quarantine Darts. And he connected Matt and I and mentioned that, Matt, you're an ambassador for Dart Connect. Is that correct?
Yes. So the ambassador program, we've got a couple different levels for people that understand the program, work with it, talk about it. And then my level, and then like Darren Eldridge, is we actually go through and we program tournaments. We help get people up and going. We actually go on site and help run tournaments also. So
very cool. Very cool. So I assume that you didn't just decide to get some kind of job with Dart Connect or become an ambassador. You probably played darts. How did you get into darts?
So I got a friend of mine who joked for a long time that you get into darts one of two ways: either you're unemployed or you're divorced. And I was going through kind of a rough part of my life. I had a guy who played on a soft tip league actually, but he had friends who played steel. We'd get together every Tuesday night and kind of play with them. And he kind of drifted away, and I stuck with it because I really enjoyed playing, and the competitive nature of it, I guess, it fueled that in me.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think about it. The reason I got into darts was I had kids and I was shooting archery. And when you have little toddlers, archery it's a far dangerous sport compared. And so I kind of put the bow away, actually sold all my archery equipment and got into darts. So yeah, I guess there are typically things in life that will drive you there. All right, so you got into darts. You've been playing darts for a while, and then I understand you played League. So you've been doing League for a little while?
Yeah, so I was truly like just recreational. I hung out with these people that played leagues and went to tournaments and stuff, and I had no ambitions of ever doing anything more than that. Like I never wanted to, I never thought about being on a league or traveling to a tournament or anything like that. And I got talked into joining a ABC league. The C players were basically new players, really didn't know what they're doing. And I got on that. I was like, all right, cool. And I just stuck with it. I just kind of kept like wanting to get better. And all of a sudden, like I'm putting a board up at home. I'm getting a second and third set of darts and trying to find like the right weights and grips. And so it snowballed very quickly, like most people do.
Yeah, it's almost like a drug. It really is. It's addictive. And then buying new product becomes addictive.
Yeah.
So, you're like, oh, I got to get that barrel. Oh, I got to get that flight, or I need this. So it is the beauty of the sport. And as much as some darts cost more money than they should, for sure, overall, it's a much less expensive sport to be in than, say, golf or other things, because there's really not a huge amount of cost outside of buying really cool new equipment. Okay, but let's talk Dart Connect. Well, before we get into that, what do you play? Out of curiosity, what kind of barrels are you playing? Is there anything in particular you're playing? Let's give a shout out to your barrels.
So my barrel, actually, I use the Target Doza, the 22 gram. I I have a set of customs that are kind of modeled after those that Todd Bumgarner made for me. I got to repoint them; they're just a little too long. But that I keep going back to that Deza. It's the dart I've used for the last almost 2 years now since he joined Team Target. Used Cosmo shafts and flights, size 3 carbons and shape flights. So it's kind of that's my go-to. It has been for a long time.
Yeah, he's and speaking of the Deza, man, he's just, there's something about him. And of course, he's got 3 world championships. They're BDO, but you can't take anything away from him. He's still a phenomenal player, has come into the PDC, and he will be in the top 6, probably mid next year is my guess. And I would say any tournament he's in, he's got the ability and skill to win it. So I love watching him. And I like the eye thing. I have to admit, I'm like, what's going on there? I love that guy. He's great.
Yeah, he's kind of a no thrills player too. I mean, he gets up there, he does his work. He's kind of a journeyman for the sport, and the fact that he did everything he did in the BDO with the day job, and then left the day job to pursue the professional career after his 3rd championship with the BDO is kind of an impressive story. Gambled it all just to see if he could do it, and it's paying off well for him.
Yeah, it has, and I don't think a lot of people understand his story and who he is, and really what he's accomplished. Everybody thinks, okay, you're in the BDO, you're doing something. BDO paid you you paid to go to a BDO tournament, even if you were world champion. I mean, that's how bad the money financials were over there. You didn't make enough to do anything. Not like with the PDC. And so it's exciting to see players that are moving over. So we can get into all that stuff, but I want to talk Darts Connect. Or Dart Connect. Make sure I say that correctly. And guys, if you're not familiar with Dart Connect, you're going to get a good education on it right now, and you're going to want this. It's the best program out there for tracking your darts, playing matches, being connected for league, and it's basically dirt cheap. So, Matt, why don't you tell us how you kind of got connected with them, and then I'm going to let you kind of roll. Just kind of give us an idea, talk about the WDF and how you guys are involved there, the PDC. I'm going to kind of let you kind of run this at this point. I'm going to sit back and just learn and be educated.
Yeah, so I got hooked up with David and Greg fairly early on. I wasn't on the ground level, per se, of Dart Connect. I'd heard about it. I never had the opportunity to actually really use it. And then I saw it at, I want to say it was my 35th annual Air Capital Open that I was running. We had a lady come in from Denver who was using it and was telling me all about it. And I was like, yeah, I wanted to see it. And all of a sudden I'm on board. I want everything to do with Dart Connect. I think I went out like the next week and I bought like full-size iPad Pro and was ready, just ready to go. And I took it to everything I could locally. Whenever I'd go to a tournament, it went with me. I had a holder, and people, especially in the Midwest, were kind of hesitant to adopt it. Obviously, it blew up in Boston, and then it blew up in Denver, but then trying to get the rest of the country to adapt it and adopt it was kind of a rough one. And then I got on the ADO board, and I was out in Vegas, and David and Greg were out there, and I kept joking with them. I was like, whenever you guys want to hire me, let me know. I'll be your Kansas guy. And they said, yeah. Finally they were like, they kept asking me to do some stuff, ask questions. And I got my local association at the time that I was part of to start using it for league. Easier to track the stats and all that stuff. Got really into that. The league aspect of it is probably one of the cooler aspects, especially if you've ever had to run stats for a league. As everyone knows, that's the most painstaking part of a league, and no one wants to do it. You have to put all the math. Even if you create the best access database or Excel spreadsheets, you still have to input all that information. The Dart Connect, it's instant. You see what your averages are. You see the win losses. There's no questions about it. There's no loss score sheets. There's none of that stuff. It's all right there. So, and it's cheap, like you said. I mean, when you look at a team of 4 or more, it's $20 for a session. That's more than worth it for me, at least when I play. And singles is $5 a person. all the information you get. You know, it keeps track of your ton 80s, your tons, everything. So if you do any of awards or anything like that, it's worth it. If you're a handicap league, you can actually handicap using. You know, a lot of people don't realize that you can actually. There's a little HC at the top of the score, and you can type in what the handicap is. So let's say you're given points in 01, then you can type in what the actual starting score is for that person. So I kept on joking with David and Greg about, you know, hey, I want to come on, and David finally was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's make you an ambassador. And so that's been 2 years now that I've been an ambassador and helping people with their tournaments and getting up and going on those and going on site when tournaments need the help there, which is you'd think, okay, it's computer works, but people are really gun shy when it comes to Dart Connect. They're afraid they're going to break it. I can personally speak to this. I break it more than anyone on the team. I find all the problems with it, and it seems like, you know, whenever they give us something new to try, I'm the one who finds it. So that's the joke between me and my partner Darren, that I'm going to break it first. So the tournament aspect of it, if you've never been to a Digital Steel event, you are missing out on an opportunity to really see a tournament run well. Doesn't matter what your experience level is. If you understand how to assign a board and make a board call, you can run a tournament on Digital Steel. There's some aspect on the front end, like getting brackets set up and stuff like that. But we do have a new certification program that basically puts people through that whole program. That's something we're really hoping to get people on board with. You can see everything. You go through it. It actually gives you 2 free tournaments when you go through the certification program. And what that does is it has you do like a friends and family tournament, which has you do the round robin aspect, and it also has you do a knockout bracket. So you can do that. Friends, like I said, you do it with friends and family the first time. You get 16 people together and go, hey, let's go have a tournament, either online. You can do it at your house, or you can do it at a bar or club or whatever it might be. So that's kind of fun.
Very cool. So a couple questions that came up. So you talked about being an ambassador. Are there multiple ambassadors? Are there more of you guys running around? And how would you become an ambassador?
There are multiple ambassadors. Like I said, there's a couple different levels. There's people that know the product, know how to kind of help with some tech support and supply knowledge. We've got several of those. Erin Quinn is part of the CDC. She's an ambassador. Jerry Thomas, who former president of the Seacoast Dart Association and longtime tournament director of the Seacoast Open. He's an ambassador. Adam Sherlock, who runs the Witch City Open. Minuteman's huge, almost $30,000 tournament they do. He's an ambassador. And then Darren Eldridge and I, we really kind of do a lot of the work when it comes to the ambassador program, where we'll do the actual creating of tournaments, tech on, weekend tech support, stuff like that.
Very cool. So you mentioned the CDC, and I know we talked about the WDF, and I guess the PDC is using it. I mean, it seems like the larger tournament-driven leagues, or not leagues, but these programs or these associations and so forth out there are using Dart Connect. Have you had an opportunity to work with any of these? And can you dive into what the WDF, what that is? Because there might be people that don't understand that, and how you guys are now associated with them.
So the WDF is the governing body for darts in the world, ultimately, especially on the amateur side of the sport. Every major association around the country, around the world, is associated, hopefully, with the WDF, or they're working on it. The WDF does some cup programs where they have the World Cup every other year, and then on the off years, or the odd or the even years, they have the regional cup. So they have a Europe Cup, they have an Asia Cup, and they have America's Cup. Dart Connect got hooked up with the WDF at the World Cup in Romania last year, which I happened to be part of. I was captain. I was manager and captain for the women's team for Team USA. I took 10th place. It was great for them. Most teams ever at a World Cup There was 56 countries represented, so that was massive. There were so many players. There was an opportunity to everything. But the organizers from Romania decided to bring in Dart Connect. Vlad, who's I think vice president of the Romanian Dart Federation, had seen it, obviously seen it through the PDC and some other things, contacted Dart Connect, and we made it happen. We actually had to go through a lot of processes to get the tablets all shipped over, which was kind of fun. Having to go through a lot of custom stuff to get, and I think we shipped them out like a month and a half ahead of time to get everything over to Romania. Setting all those up, that was something new for me. I had to set up 64 tablets, and I'd never done that many all by myself. Normally you have like helpers that you tell what to do. So, but that was WDF's first opportunity to see Dart Connect and see what you could do and see what it offered to not only the players, but the fans. The markers really enjoyed it. That was something that they try to have like, I think I've heard like close to 200 markers for an event. They only had 64 markers for the entire week in Romania, and those guys, they earned every single bit of what they got. They did some epic. I saw them do some epic matches, and I saw them do some really long matches too. So it worked out really well for them. And then with this whole COVID thing and everything getting canceled, all the regional cups got canceled this year. So there was no Europe Cup, there was no America's Cup, and there was no Asia Cup. We decided, we needed to offer something. We needed to keep the WDF relevant. And so David came up with the idea of trying to do something using Dart Connect, using the online capability of playing with it to bring darts to the world in a competitive nature. So that's where we came up with the idea for the virtual cup. I'm the event leader on that. So what it is, we are doing 4 kind of round robin tournaments based off of areas in the world that kind of make sense for time zones. We don't want people having to play at 3 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. So we got the Americas, which is basically everything that would be in North America and the Caribbean and any affiliate countries that are there. We're doing the Isle nations, so you're looking at England, Scotland, Wales, Isle of Man, Ireland, and Northern Ireland, because they all have their own affiliations with the WDF. And then the rest of Europe, and then we get into Asia, New Zealand, and Australia. Let them kind of play together. Each team is going to have 2 men, 2 women, separated obviously by sex. So the men all play the men, the women will play the women. It'll be a round robin to start with. So you'll have a best of 5 round robin match. Play everyone in your group. Top 4 out of each group will come out to the knockout bracket. The knockout bracket will be a bracket of 16, and we'll go from there.
Very cool. Yeah, I've seen some commentations and some different things out there that this is coming, and so excited to see where this goes. I love I bring this up pretty much on every interview I do, and I will continue to do so. I love the inclusion of the women. I would love to see when we talk about World Cup events, and I know there's the difficulty because some of the countries don't have as many women players, and maybe not as strong of women players as some of the other countries, but I still like the inclusion. One of my favorite things about this sport is the fact that we all are handicapped in the same way. We all stand the same distance. We're all throwing at the same height. There's nothing really to stop the sexes, using that term to being able to compete, where in other sports like football, you and I were talking about football, as much as that sounds exciting, really when a 300-pound guy hits a 120-pound, 140-pound woman, it's not going to be pretty. So I love that about this sport. But to get off that soapbox, because I'll stand on it all day long. So with Darts Connect, as an individual, myself, if I'm not part of a league and I just want to use this program, is there that aspect? Because we've talked about league usage, but is there an aspect for the individual? Can I connect with other people? How are ways I can use this program?
Yeah, so I always make sure it's Dart Connect, not Darts Connect.
Yeah, Dart Connect.
Dart Connect is $24 a year for a premium membership, basically $2 a month. That's ridiculously cheap for everything that is offered off of this program. You can play against the computer itself. There's 12 different levels, basically all the way from like someone who's throwing in the mid 30s all the way to people playing 100 points per round. You think you can play against the PDC guys? Well, there's your opportunity. And then there's an online aspect of it. David actually started Dart Connect to play against his friends in Denver because he was in Boston. Was trying to figure out a way to do it when iPads came out and thought it was there was an opportunity there for it. You can play online. You don't have to have a webcam or anything like that. It just generates the code. You give whoever you're playing against the code, and they type it in. You guys play against each other. That's how you can do leagues online too. Will and I are in a league that is 100% virtual. I know there's more and more that are popping up right now because of the whole COVID aspect. I know you're in one, so it really does give people the opportunity to play virtually. Like I said, you don't have to have the camera. When there's something on the line at stake, money, league points, whatever it is, generally people play with a camera. But yeah, like I said, $24 a year. You can play as much as you want or as little as you want. The premium membership also comes with, when we get tournaments back going, or even online tournaments, you can have the ability to receive your board calls via text message. Which, that's cool. I don't know, quite a few of us have been to tournaments where you can't hear the board calls, or you're not really paying attention. All of a sudden, you're getting that second or third call, seeing your phone light up that says, "Hey, by the way, you're on board 14." You kind of run over there and or you're up in your room because whatever might be the case.
Yeah, no, that's a cool feature. It does help you. Like if you hey, I'm going to go eat something, but maybe someone else didn't show up to their board, and so things move a little bit quicker, whatever the case may be. That's a cool feature. One of the other really cool features that I've noticed when I play the computer and everything else is this stores all your stats. So if you're in the 30s and you're trying to get better, you can see the progression. You can see what your averages are. You can see the number of 180s. I mean, there's just this huge amount of data that gets stored with Dart Connect. Make sure I'm getting that in there. I have that little, it just hangs in there. So Dart Connect. But that's one of the features I really love about it, is being able to see the stats. And then in League, I get to see what everybody else is doing at the same time and compare myself. Am I moving up? Am I going down? Oh my gosh, that person, their average jumped tremendously. Oh crap, I got to work harder. That's one of the aspects I really love.
Yeah, the stat aspect is something that really drove it there at the beginning for a lot of players, is you can look at that information. When you throw like a decent game, but realistically you can look at it and go, okay. And you can even get like a recap of your leg. You know exactly what each round was, and you can go back and look at that, okay, I need to focus more on my outs. And there's even that's one thing a lot of people don't realize, is you can actually turn a feature on that allows you to know your actual attempts at an out. Yeah. Which that one becomes quite frustrating when you look at it. When you look at the pros, they're in that 35 to 40 range, and you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then all of a sudden you turn on, and you're like, wow, I'm at 10% of my outs. So.
or 5%. We're not saying anything, but it could happen. The other thing I like about it is it emails you. It emails your match results, whether you're playing the computer or you're playing in League. You're going to get that email so you can go back. Even if you've had a bad day, you can at least look at it and go, okay, here's where I need to get better. So there's a lot going on with this program that's super cool. Now, you've talked about tablets. Is this tablet driven? Can we do this on a PC, or do you need a tablet?
You can do it on any device that can either have Safari or Chrome as your browser. So you can do it on, if you don't have a tablet, you can do it on your computer. You can launch the software and play it on there. The tablets are just easier because, like you can see behind me, it just hangs there on the wall nicely. It's easy to type in. It's kind of like the old dry erase or chalkboards.
Yeah, and that's really what it looks like. So I've got a tablet by my steel tip board, and then of course I can use the computer at the same time. But that's the thing that's really cool about it, is it's a dry erase board on your tablet. that you're just pushing buttons instead of writing stuff down. So it really does help. Here's a question that comes up a lot, especially with the Americas, more North America being us versus Canada, because a lot of the Canadian players can count better than we can. It seems like we've become so attached to things like Dart Connect. Is that eroding the ability to mentally do the math, or is that kind of a myth? What's your feeling on that?
No, that's definitely a myth, because I mean, the thing is, you can walk up there and you can, and I'll do it from time to time where I'll have a brain fart and I'll be like, and I'll use the, addition. But ultimately, if you're using the program and you play enough darts, you start learning the math. It's just like anything. It's like when you're in kindergarten, you start doing, 1 + 1 = 2 and stuff like that. The same thing happens with Dart Connect. You eventually start learning your math. It's repetition, and then you get up there and you type it in. And then you still have to be able to figure it out when the dart goes in the wrong spot and what do you have left to be able to hit your out. So,
yeah. And that's another feature I like, is it does allow you to go in and say you're whatever out you're shooting for, and you end up in, I'm not going to say a 1 because you should be able to do that math quickly, but say you hit the 18 on that, you're aiming for a 60 and you hit the 18, because that never happens to anybody. But if that happened and you're like, what the crap, you can go up there and actually put in 18, and it's going to lower the score to show you what you need left, and you can make those adjustments. It is a great feature, especially for new darts players, because that's the biggest fear. I know for me, my biggest fear when I went to go play League was, oh crap, my math, is it good enough? Am I going to freeze? Am I going to choke? And then I realized everybody else was kind of in that same place, and they used that feature occasionally when they needed to. So another great feature brought into Dart Connect. So what about playing people? And we talked about that you can play people around the world and not necessarily needing cameras, but in regards to playing people, whether it's down the street or in another country, if you're doing a Zoom call or something of that nature, what do you recommend for that? Are you, do you recommend like Zoom, or do you have any recommendations that people do? Does Dart Connect have recommendations that people should be using?
So any of the, your abilities to video chat. For my league, it seems like everyone uses Facebook Messenger. Leagues I've played in, we've done Facebook Messenger. Or tournaments I've played in, I've used Facebook Messenger. Also use Discord. Sometimes tournament directors will set up Discord groups, and it's a little bit easier to find each other instead of, is this the right Matt Stoner I'm looking up on Facebook, to send a message to or something like that. Obviously, generally, league people are always kind of friends, it seems like. Whatever is comfortable. For the World Cup, we're recommending a couple different options, either Skype or Facebook Messenger. Those are the ones that we're going to go with there for the Virtual Cup, because we feel that everyone kind of has access to those around the world, where, Zoom, I think, the free one has like a 45-minute limit. So I'm not saying everyone's slow, but there are slower matches or longer matches. You get stuck on double one, and all of a sudden you're like, well, there went my free call. So you got to restart or something like that. I think WhatsApp, you can do calls also, because a lot of people seem to use their phones when it comes to it also.
Is there maybe the idea of creating a call-in program, something that allows you to do that? I mean, is Dart Connect going to kind of grow into something a little bit more that allows that interaction? Maybe some of the fun things that we see, some of the graphical designs that we see, or is this just really going to be basically that chalk, and that's kind of where it's going to stay? Dave, you heard anything, or if you guys talked about potentially adding other features, like maybe a camera type aspect?
I know the camera aspect is, it's been tossed around, but I think it just keeps on getting just the difficulty of it. Then there's privacy issues also with that, especially. I know David's talked quite a bit about the privacy issues when it comes to like kids playing and being able to access a camera and stuff like that. He never wants any issues there. And then there's also, I know we've got some new stuff coming for online play. I don't really know the liberties I'm allowed to talk about it right now. So, but I do know there's new stuff coming for the bells and whistles and like the stuff you get on like the online, like the soft tip boards and stuff like that, I don't think you'll ever really see that kind of stuff.
What about practice routines and like games? Some of those things, is that a potential, or maybe that's one of the things that's coming that you can't talk about? But I mean, would that be something that we might see at some point?
That one I don't know. I know right now the main focus is really getting the online playing more stable and offering some new features there.
Very cool. So if I'm using the program and I'm doing things with it, what are some things that might come up, some pitfalls, or what are some things that I could run into I could find corrections for? Or what are some of the things you see people running to? Because I know I've had some stuff in the past personally where I was like, oh, if I had just read this, I'd be able to deal with it. But what are the common issues that people have?
So some of the common issues, especially like when you're playing online, is internet speed. There'll be lag there. You'll see maybe not the board resetting fast enough. Sometimes we definitely address that one. Seems like most of the issues when it comes to anything like that is when it is always an internet issue. It seems like when there is any type of major issue when it comes to a tablet not recognizing something, especially in tournament aspect, check your internet first is what we always tell people. Other issues, putting in scores wrong. People freak out that they can't correct it. They'll put it in. Oh no, I put in the wrong score. It's easy. You can either if it's the last score, you hit the back button, or you just select the score on the list and you can alter it. Those are that's probably the easiest ones.
Easiest ones to deal with. And I know that our Bob, who was on last week, who runs our league, he's very versed in Dart Connect. And if there's ever issues that come up, he's been able to go in and make corrections and make sure that all the scoring is correct and people are getting what they need out of your league. So that if you've I was playing a gentleman, we were playing cricket, and we're the best of 7, and we were 2 games in, and we had a connection issue, or I don't remember what the problem was specifically, but we had to restart. And he was able to go into the back end and kind of correct everything. So again, a nice feature or a nice ability is, the usability of Dart Connect. If I'm running a tournament and I want to use Dart Connect, is there a difference for those that are running the tournament versus, say, the general person like myself? I've got the $24. People, come on, that's like a draw. That's like a coffee mug. So I say you do your $24, get Dart Connect, and take your next $24 next month and buy a coffee mug. But really, I mean, that's nothing compared to what you get out of it. Again, the question being, does someone who's running a tournament have different access? Is there something different to that?
Yeah, so you're talking about Bob being able to go into Ultra stuff. So that actually is able to go into the league portal, which is a little bit different. If you decide to become a league administrator, we do, like, if it's your first time doing it, you've never experienced it, you actually do get a little bit of a coaching session with our league guys who walk you through and kind of talk to you, and they're always available for support. So yeah, being able to go and alter that kind of stuff is different. Running it using the digital steel aspect of the program is different than just the scoring. Now, the scoring application that's at every board that's on a tablet talks to the digital steel program. So it's basically kind of 2 programs that work together hand in hand, which is awesome. If you want to run a tournament on digital steel, that's what I was talking about. We do have a certification program now that we get people through, so that way they become a little bit more familiar. And once you go through it, you can always go back and revisit it just to kind of keep yourself fresh. Because that's one of those things we ran into was people that don't use it all the time forget. And so then it seems like every year we're having to send out practice programs for people to revisit instead of staying on top of it. The certification program definitely gives you that ability to stay with it all. So that's one of those things that we really like. It is a different thing. It's learning how to do simple things like the cashier kiosk, getting the players to check in. There's basically 3 steps when it comes to a digital steel to get the players in. They have to obviously register for a tournament. That's where you'll see everyone sharing on Facebook, and there's a check-in program. Starts 5 days before your tournament if it's a public check-in. And then once you get there, you actually have to register for each event you're going to play in. And that's going over to an event registration kiosk, which is generally a couple more iPads or tablets that are laid out. You do that. And then you actually go pay your cashier. And that's when you actually get into the event itself, because then they select you and say, yeah, they paid, they're in. Because we don't want people coming up and going, yeah, I'm going to play in this event, and then they don't pay, or they get drunk and wander off. We all know that happens from time to time.
Never. So, and just to bring this up so that everybody knows, you can use the program for, and I mentioned this, cricket. So there is that aspect of it. You can play cricket with it, and of course, 01 games. Do you ever see soft tip? I know that there's a lot of boards out there that keep track or have apps, but I'm curious, do you ever see soft tip players using it? Because it does do the cricket, it does, the basic things that a soft tip board can do. But there are plenty of soft tip boards out there that aren't connected to something, aren't online. But do you ever see soft tip players using it, or tournaments using it?
Tournaments, no. Just because I think one of the big aspects that we hear quite often is, we don't have double elimination. Most of your soft tip events are double elim. So we don't have that aspect. And then it seems like a lot of the bigger tournaments and boards, they have software that's designed for the boards, and so it sends the matches to them. I know Darts Live has that. Arachnid has their own software that sends all the matches to their boards. So I don't see that aspect happening. What I do see is I see a lot of what were traditionally your soft tip players, and I say that because we don't have the real distinction anymore between soft tip and steel tip. We have dart players. Which is awesome to see that wall has really kind of been broke down, and people pick up anything and play it. What I see the soft tip players gravitating towards is using Dart Connect, because a lot of times they don't either know the outs or the math, or they're intimidating by the chalking, where typing in a number and being able to use the addition, subtraction, and the multiplication, those aspects of the Dart Connect make it easier on a soft tip player to play.
Yeah, as someone who plays both, I could see where, having it, because you're used to having something there that's keeping track of score. So it's kind of nice to have that aspect versus going up and trying to chalk something. Let's talk a little bit about the PDC using Dart Connect. Have you been involved in that particular arena? And I know that they've got their own scorers that are using it. Of course, we see that in play. I guess here's the big question. Do you ever see Dart Connect on the main stage during a major? I know that currently they have people that are up there chalking for everybody, but is that something that could happen?
There's a couple of things with that. So the PDC, first and foremost, never wants to have a computer issue. I don't know if you remember several years ago at the BDO Worlds, Darts for Windows crashed, and they had to delay the match that was literally in mid-match because they couldn't get the scoring to work, because they didn't have physical markers on the stage. They did everything electronically, and it was all. So the PDC never wants that to happen. And then the other part about it is, because of the gambling issue, there has to be a delay. A lot of people don't realize that there's actually a 30-second delay, so that people can't run and go place bets, before people realize what the actual results are. And we don't delay the feed. So if you're marking it on a Dart Connect tablet, as soon as you hit enter, it's on the website. It's on DCTV. So we'd have to hide the results on the DCTV, which then kind of loses part of the aspect of it. This year during the UK Open, we actually went back in, because I don't know if a lot of people realize, but all the stats for the UK Open were actually done on Dart Connect, because the UK Open has their 2 TV boards, and then they have 7 or 8 other boards on the floor that matches are happening on. Those were all happening on Dart Connect. We actually went back in and rescored all those, so then everyone's averages were correct.
That's cool. That was probably fun.
Yeah. I was lucky and I was supposed to do some, but we had some other people on the team who just like took right to it. So they were able to, they did it themselves. And I was like, okay. Every time I sat down to do a match, it was like already gone. So,
Oh, nice. Have you been able to score some fun matches? I mean, do you have any like stories to go around with that?
yeah. So I had a really fun one. It was Alex Reyes versus Kevin Luke at the Las Vegas Open a couple of years ago. And it was best of 11 match. Alex was up 4-0 on Kevin, and Kevin came back and ended up being a 6-5 match. But I think the most darts that was thrown on any leg was 18. I mean, they were just hitting, and trying to keep up with that too was not easy because you had to, luckily, like I said, it's a memorization thing. And there was a couple times I had to stop and I had to use the addition feature just because I was like, I'm gonna mess this up if I don't.
Yeah.
uh, I was always that person who was intimidated chalk just because either my handwriting, I was worried about my handwriting not looking good enough, having confusion there with the score, or it seems like even though there's rules about chalking, about how you're supposed to write the scores and everything down, people have regional ways they do it and specific ways. With Dart Connect, now I'll jump out and I'll chalk pretty much. I like to chalk the finals boards fairly often because I know those will be fun matches to watch.
Yeah,
So,
and being involved and being right there, kind of, it's got to be, there's some excitement and fun to be a part of it. Yeah, we've used them to chalk some stuff. Like if we're just hanging around during league when we were actually able to physically be around people, it was kind of fun to just sit up there and be able to do that and not feel intimidated. One, handwriting. Two, did I just get the number wrong? Or you're trying to calculate. So I see this as really helping the sport grow because it takes down some of the barriers that others might have. It allows younger people to actually get involved a little bit more. And something that I've been talking about, and I have a video coming out, is how to use darts for math because everybody's homeschooling now. Like my kids are stuck at home, and my 6-year-old absolutely loves darts, and he actually knows all the math combinations. It's disgusting because he's so much better than I am with the math combinations. But we're using Dart Connect to actually do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and use the dartboard on how to do that. So I've got a video coming out on that. But I think that's the coolness of this program is there's so much versatility within it, and it really opens up the world to so many more people. So with this particular program and stuff, and you being able to kind of get out there and talk to people about it, what's your territory, or is there, do you pretty much go everywhere? If someone wanted to run a big competition, could they contact you? What's that like?
Yeah, so we kind of, we'll kind of go anywhere, obviously, wherever, if someone wants us on site, that happens. A lot of times Darren takes care of everything east of the Mississippi. I take care of everything west of the Mississippi, unless it turns out to be like we have a connection with the tournament director or something like that. Like I went and did Shoot for the Moon in Mobile, Alabama this year because I know their general secretary. She's Area 4 manager for the ADO, and so we sit on the ADO board together. So, having that connection, I went there. So yeah, it's kind of up in the air. David always goes and he does Blueberry Hill because he's from St. Louis and he kind of gets to go home. It really is kind of just up in the air who ends up with the tournament.
That's cool. I want to talk a little bit about Quarantine Darts and Will Stewart and your involvement there and kind of how did that get started. And I say that because I think there's a lot of people out there that want to start maybe an online league or start doing stuff like you see Quarantine Darts do. Talk a little bit about that and how would Dart Connect be useful in starting something?
So Dart Connect really kind of helped make Quarantine Darts go because when it first started, it was the initial idea was, we were going to do some streaming matches locally, and then it kind of grew from there. I helped Will just get the idea. He ran with it, so I was like, whatever you need from support wise, man. But the fact that you can play in 2 separate locations and use the code and generate it and play that way, it's a lot easier and it's not as cumbersome as some of the other programs that are out there. From a league aspect, playing online singles is easy. I mean, you literally just get on the phone or you get on your video chat with whoever it is, you tell them what the code is, they type it in, you guys continue to play. If you're wanting to start a streaming service, the thing is that you have to make sure people have a premium account. It's the only way you can play online is have a premium account, unless you're in a league setting. The league settings, it's part of it.
So there's other types of accounts. There's like a guest account.
So there's a guest account, which basically you just go in and you basically put in your name and your email address. That's mainly just used for people who don't want to pay the $24 but are in a Dart Connect league per se. And that doesn't get you all the cool benefits. That's not going to get you the text messaging if you're at a Digital Steel event. That's not going to get you the ability to play against the computer. That doesn't get you the ability to play against your friend down the street online. That literally is just kind of a bare bones. You have an account, it kind of has a match log, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for $24, I mean, literally $2 a month, it's a no-brainer. If you're going to do anything in darts, it totally makes sense to drop the $24. I mean, it's not a big deal. I do have one question that has been with me for a long time since I started with playing with Dart Connect. This number up here, this number that we see up here,
that is real.
How legitimate is that?
That's 100% real because it keeps track of as soon as you put it in there, it's all uploaded to the server.
That's cool. So I was curious because it's like it's constantly clicking, and I'm like, really?
Yeah,
but I guess.
Well, I mean, you got to realize we are worldwide, and so it's constantly people are putting in darts. I mean, I was playing this morning at 5:00 this morning against the computer. So
nice. So that's tracking computer play. It's tracking personal play. It's literally tracking darts that are thrown.
Yeah, any dart that's thrown using the app and you hit enter and save, it's there.
Cool. So if I threw 10 darts at once, it would just like jump up 10.
Well, I want to know how you're going to score 10 darts at once.
It's going to be a little difficult, but it's possible.
Well, I mean, if you can figure out a way to do 41 and 10 darts, I'm pretty sure you can do it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then over here, we talk about like we have DCTV. Can you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, say I'm a fan of the PDC and I want to watch something, or maybe I'm a fan of the CDC, which is using Dart Connect. How does that function?
So DCTV, if you can click on the link there, that'd be awesome. We can show people.
Yeah.
So if you notice there, it says events, PDC, the youth, local things. Local things are kind of like, people are like have a weekly blind draw and stuff like that. And then there's your league performance, and the leagues are every league that's active right now. There's even some inactive ones, so you could actually find yours on there. So yeah, they're all in alphabetical order. If you notice the alphabet at the top there, so there you go. So you can actually, if you click on DCTV matches, that's literally a chronological order of all the matches that have happened. So you can click on those and kind of go through those if you want. You can look at your standings and all that stuff. So I have literally watched entire tournaments on DCTV because they don't have a streaming aspect, or I'm not no ability to be able to watch it. There's what's known as fan alerts. So you can actually sign up for those. If there's players that you want to know when they're playing, you can go into your account, select that player, you just type in their name, find who they are, say, yeah, that's who I want to watch. And every time they get called up in a tournament, you'll get a text message or an email letting you know who they're playing, what tournament it's at, and then you can go in and actually, instead of having to try to find it on DCTV, which is nice. The PDC will use it, obviously, they use it for all their floor events. So they've got the Autumn Series coming up. So you'll be able to watch all your favorite PDC pros. And the nice thing is all the PDC pros are available for fan alert. So let's say you want to watch Jeff Smith and see how he does. and get that text message about Jeff. You can click on that, and every time Jeff goes up, he has a match, it's going to tell you who he's playing against, and you can watch, him destroy whoever he's playing.
As we hope.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a big fan. I really want to see. I would love to see him win a world championship. That would just be that would be awesome. That's anyway. Well, I'll digress out of that one because that's one of the players I love.
Technically, he does have a world championship. He did win. He won the WDF men's singles in Kobe, Japan. So
this is true. This is very true. I'm talking PDC. I think it would be neat to see a journeyman win it like that. Oh man, he's a great guy.
I think Jeff would do has the skill in the game to get there. That is definitely the case. My only fear is just the fact that you have to go over there to do it. Being away from home, I don't know how reasonable. What the chances of a North American player doing it just by having to be on that tour for the whole time, and you're basically being away from your family.
Well, I think it's going to happen, and we can talk a few minutes about that. When it comes to darts and North Americans, because of course we're in that North American, deal. You're in Kansas and I'm in California, so I'm in a different world all its own. But the idea of someone from probably a Canadian is going to go, excuse me, much further into the PDC currently. And of course, they've had some great players. We here in America have just done so much with cricket, but we're getting out of that. 01 is starting to take over and dominate from what I've seen and read in the trade stuff. But I think with the money being there, it's starting to get there, you're going to see young players, go towards this goal of being the first American to really dominate over there, or Canadian. Well, I can't say that because Canada's had some dominant players. Really, we need an American from the 50 states to get over there and dominate.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. That is, I'm not saying that in the least. I think it's going to have to be an aspect, though, of someone who and it's so hard to get the visa to play over there, to get a sports visa, to be able to stay over there and play for that extended period of time. And if you're not doing well, you're not making money. I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. The pros we have here in the States, they have a 9-to-5 job. The guys that we think about are really good. Even the guys up in Canada that are really good, they have those 9-to-5 jobs. All of a sudden you go over there, that visa is literally for you to only play the sport you're going over for. So if you're not winning and making money on the order of merit, and maybe have a manager who's willing to put that kind of money up or put you up in hotels and stuff, that'll wane on you. I'm not saying we don't, in 5 to 10 years, we won't have someone over there who's getting after it, but it's going to take some work. And the other thing is the stamina issue. We've played short format for so long over here, and we're just now catching up on the long format side.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a younger player that's willing to make that move. If you're married and like say, Jeff Smith, who is playing the PDC, he's got his tour card and he's really making it work. But most people may not know that he has a thriving auto business, where and unfortunately it burnt down this past year, and he's dealing with that. But he's got a thriving business that he's built while playing darts. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a younger player, and I want to see this, but I don't want to see this. I want to see someone like a Nike or a brand kind of get into the sport a little bit to, one, throw money at it, but two, the sponsorship ability. They can take a young person, put them over in Europe, and allow them, that has their tour card, allow them the 2 years to worry about nothing but darts, not having to pay the bills. And that's almost what you need from here, is to be able to move over to that. We need the sponsorship. We need the money behind it. So,
yeah, I think the sponsorship is definitely a big part of it. I think the other part of it is, unfortunately, we don't have it on mainstream ESPN, Fox Sports. It's darts in the U.S. is still kind of a fringe sport, or just a bar sport. I think if we can get that player we need the poker phenomenon to happen. You know, people don't talk about that, where it's, you know, you get that, you know, you look at poker was kind of like, oh, you're a poker player, and all of a sudden World Series of Poker was on ESPN one summer, and everyone was a poker player. So, you know, we need everyone to become a dart player.
It's kind of like cornhole. How did cornhole make it before darts? I really don't understand that. Not taking anything away from cornhole, but you know, I like to play as well, but that is a big thing. I look at like the volleyball and the AVP, and it didn't really grow into anything until it became TV friendly and it became a sport that ESPN was going to show. Excuse me. Tag, believe it or not, tag is a professional sport. It is on ESPN. You can watch people run around a little stadium thing and play tag. We need to do a petition. Maybe that's what we need to do. We need to go to one of those petition websites, create a petition to get ESPN to understand the number of eyeballs that will literally watch darts on ESPN. I don't currently have cable and ESPN. I do everything online. I would pay for that ability to be able to watch. You know, I'd pay ESPN money to be able to watch. So maybe that's what we need to do, is create a petition, go after it, go after Disney, and make them bring something that's wholesome back to TV and put darts online.
Yeah, no, that's part of what the CDC wants to do. You know, they're obviously working towards trying to get that aspect going, where, you know, they'll be able to offer a product that can go online, or not necessarily online, but can actually go on like a major network for live production.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I mean, there's there's online stuff, and you can watch stuff on YouTube, and you can watch Iceland darts on YouTube live. I really can't wait until we see darts make it in that capacity here in America, because that happens with what's happening in Europe, and it'll be the next soccer. It has the potential to be the next soccer, and I hope we get there. Hey, Matt, we're kind of winding down the show. I've really loved having you on. It's been great talking about Dart Connect with you. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, someone had questions from a league perspective, or wanted to set up a league, or maybe they've got a league and they now want to go online and use Dart Connect, how would someone get in touch with you?
So you can get a hold of me personally at matt.s@dartconnect.com. If you're wanting to set up leagues and stuff, we do have the league sign-up page on dartconnect.com. Any tournament or any information like that, especially, fingers crossed, we're going to start having tournaments again next year. And actually, the thing is, you know, you can do online tournaments too. So we're available for any questions. The website's there, but like I said, if you want to reach me personally, it's matt.s@dartconnect.com.
Cool. Well, again, Matt, thanks so much for being on. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions that come out of this talking with you. I know that I've got a few, so I'll be reaching out to you. Loved having you on. Would love to have you on again later on, especially as things continue to grow with Dart Connect, and maybe come on and talk about some of the cool new features that happen. And we can actually go through the program. I want to just introduce you and the program to those that haven't seen it, but I'd like to have you come back on and we'll just dive into the program itself. And so that way everybody can kind of really understand it a little bit more in depth. We'll actually click on everything and dive through it. So again, Matt, thanks for being on. Everybody, thanks for watching. I really appreciate everybody that watches. Don't forget to like and share the video. I know I'm supposed to say that more often, like hit the thumbs up if you're watching on Facebook. You guys know what to do. But hey, on Thursday, we're going to do basically a question and answer session. So those that watch the show regularly, if you've got questions of me or want to know some cool things that are coming up, we're going to leave this up to you guys to ask the questions and drive the show. So no guest this Thursday. Next Monday, we've got a guest, and we've got some exciting guests coming up. I've got a top 50 PDC player that will be joining me here in mid-September to talk about darts. So everybody, thanks for hanging out. Matt, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you, Shot, for sponsoring. Thank you, Magicwear, for sponsoring. We will see you guys on Thursday. Thanks again.